for them, it's about they really want to get the book out there so that it can help them build their reputation and credibility in business, but also because they know that their impact is really limited to the people that they can work with, in the room. And so they want to write their book as a way of helping more people as well.
Hey everyone, it's Melanie Johnson with another great podcast. We're so excited for you to be here today. I own and run a publishing company. I've done it for 10 years, making a bunch of people bestsellers. But the reason I'm telling you that is because we have a ghostwriter. Intelligent Inc. is the name of her company. And she helps CEOs, thought leaders, anyone really in general that really wants to write a book and take them to get from idea to a finished book. So welcome today, Verity. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell us where you're coming from, first of all, so everybody knows.
Funnily enough, the accent must have given it away that I am not from the same place as you. I'm calling in from Auckland in New Zealand, so Aotearoa, New Zealand. And yeah, always exciting to chat with people on the other side of the world.
Yes, I love it. She's on the other side of the world. So tell us, how did you get into this career?
So for me personally, my business partner started the business, Intelligent Inc. And when she started, it was very much a case of wanting to help companies present themselves better. So it was writing in general, sort of content writing in general. And then I joined her a couple of years in with absolutely no idea what I wanted to do, but happened to meet Christina and we clicked and she offered me a job. And so I started off working for her. And really since then, that was 12 and a half years ago. So we're ticking up the numbers now. Since then, we've kind of developed this business to be something that we know we can be the best in the world at, but also we can have the biggest impact in. And so we realized pretty early on that what we were really good at was helping people develop their ideas and make their ideas better so that they could be communicated more effectively. And that led us into thought leadership. And then we started getting asked to write books and help people write their books. So it sort of naturally happened in this very organic way. And since then, we realized that actually books are the thing that we can be best at. So yeah, we do a combo of ghostwriting, book coaching, and editing, and absolutely love it because it brings together our ability to help people develop their ideas with our real passion for books and how much those can change lives. So it's been a very organic journey, I would say.
Yeah, mine has been the same. Like people say, why did you get into publishing? I said, publishing found me. I didn't find publishing. Tell us, who do you normally help? What type of people are coming to you to write their books? And why do they want to write a book?
Yeah, so the vast majority of our clients are what I would describe as purpose-driven thought leaders. So they're people who have some sort of positive impact on the world and they're building a business through their expertise. So they might be speaking, they're probably coaching, consulting, facilitating, training, some combo of those things. And for them, it's about they really want to get the book out there so that it can help them build their reputation and credibility in business, but also because they know that their impact is really limited to the people that they can work with, in the room. And so they want to write their book as a way of helping more people as well. So it's sort of those dual purposes. We also work with, on the ghostwriting side, quite a few sort of entrepreneurs who've been quite successful. And now this is more their legacy piece. They're less worried about the business side of it, but they still want to have an impact and get their ideas and knowledge out there. Those are kind of the two main groups.
Yeah, I would say we kind of have the same, as well as like beginning entrepreneurs too that are doing it. And I love what you said. It's like they're going to reach a broader audience. Was having a conversation on another podcast today that really, like, people consume content in so many different ways. So it's another way to reach your audience by having that book, because you can have an audio book, an ebook, a physical book. So it gives you a variety of ways just within the book industry, to reach different people. And some people can consume things on YouTube, but you can then take the book and slice it and dice it into a variety of pieces of content from the book and put it on all those social media places.
Yeah, and I think the unique thing about books, and one of the reasons why I love them so much, is because people consume books in a really different way than they consume others. So, like, when I think about if I'm sitting down to read a book, I'm normally sitting down to read it. Or even I might be driving, but I'm still paying a lot of attention to it and not really doing anything else. Whereas any other kind of content, like if I'm scrolling through social media or if I'm, getting an email in the middle of my inbox, I'm constantly surrounded by distractions. And so it's one of the reasons that I love books for thought leaders is because they get to your audience in a really focused way, and
Yeah.
people actually pay attention to them. And so you get people so much more bought into your ideas and your expertise
Yeah.
and your story because of that focus that a book naturally requires.
That's an excellent comment that I never thought of it this way. When someone's reading a book, they're not multitasking. When you're listening to a book, you could be working out, doing something else, and multitasking. But when you're reading, you're only focused on that content. In today's world, I even find when I'm watching TV shows or movies, I'm kind of bored and I start scrolling and I've got my brain going in two different directions. But I just started a new book the other day and I have my highlighter. It's a business book and I'm highlighting as I'm
Mhm.
going. It is a different experience for business owners and people who are unfamiliar with how to get started. You talked about book coaching versus ghostwriting, and I imagine there's co-writing as well. Break it
Mhm.
down for people so they understand how that works.
So I think the first thing to understand is that it's really important that you actually start out with a strategy and you start out with a plan for it. That you don't, like, yes, you can start to write down notes anytime as you feel inspired. But in
Mhm.
reality, if you want your book to be a success, if you want your book to have the impact on your business that you want it to have and on the
Yeah,
readers, then you really need to get clarity up front. So the first stage that we take every
yeah.
client through, whether they're a ghostwriting client or a book coaching client, we
Mhm.
call it the Better Book Blueprint. And that's basically get clear on why you're writing the book, who it's for, what the core message
Right.
is, what other books exist around it that you might need to consider,
Yeah,
what sort of style book you want, and be really deliberate about all of those things. And then when
yeah,
you think about the structure, I find that a lot of people tend to organize their books almost like they'd organize files on a computer. Like they'd go, these things make sense together, these things make sense together, and we'll put them in this order because that's what I've thought of. And actually, the way that we really like to approach books is to think about what's the reader journey? Like, where are they starting? What do they
mhm,
know, understand first? What are some beliefs that
yeah,
we've got to break down before they're even open to the rest of the expertise?
yeah,
And so, really thinking about that. So, it's always, I think it's really important that even if you're not going to work with somebody else until, say, the editing stage, which some people,
yeah.
we come
Mhm.
back to us
True.
for editing, it's really important that you put the time and thinking into getting that clarity up
Yeah.
front. And so that's that first stage for anyone, really, that I think is really important.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then, some people are that we've worked with, like they can get the gist of it out, but then they don't have, I want to call like the color and the details. Like
Mm.
it's almost like a brief diary. I went here, then and did this, then I went there, and then I did that. How do they tap into getting, or is it better to work with a ghostwriter that can bring in those details after talking to the author?
I think it can be either way. So some people really love being able to write some of it themselves. So some of
Mhm.
our, for example, when we work with them the whole way through, we'll still talk to them every week or every 2 weeks, and we'll coach them if they're thinking, we'll develop the idea and we'll help them, challenge and make them better.
Yeah,
They might still go away and write some of it and then come back to us and we give it the color, as you say, like we make it and make it readable. But they still really like to do that. Whereas other people actually, they're not writers, they don't enjoy writing, they don't want to
yeah,
write, and so they can just work from a ghostwriter up front. But I think it's really important that you've got that relationship with somebody that's going to understand you.
yeah.
And ideally, if you're going to work with someone in that way, working with them from the start, because what we've
Mhm.
found is that the people who come to us quite a lot later in the process, like,
Yeah,
it's fine, we can still work with them, but in reality, it's actually costing them a lot more because we're often having to kind of wind it back and work
yeah,
backwards. And
yeah,
for example, we've seen quite a few clients who haven't done that planning stage, for example, often used AI, to be perfectly honest, and then come to us at editing. And it's taking about 3 to 4 times as long as any
really.
other manuscript that we're working on. And so it's just, I think it's really important to recognize that there are sort of key stages that it's just helpful to get an outside view and that you can wait till editing. And that's a fine reason, but it will probably mean the editing process is more painful than if you're engaging with someone earlier in the process.
That's what we say about publishing too. It's like engage us kind of when you're creating the book, as
Mm,
well as like when they're writing the book. It's good to have that ghostwriter, editor person on board because then you've got the guidance from the very beginning. You're not making those pitfalls or even stopping. I just talked to an author the other day. She's been stopping and starting for 3 years because she hasn't brought someone alongside of her to help her get to the finish line. And a lot of times we find we have an author, she's probably 3 months out still talking to the editor. I'm like, that's the perfect time to start, because what we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
now is get the book cover gone, get the title and the subtitle nailed down for them. And then it generates kind of accountability and excitement. Like they
Yeah.
want to keep going. Oh, my cover's here. I just, showed that to everybody. I'm so excited, and getting everyone involved. Plus, if you want to have a good marketing plan too, you really need a longer runway of time to plan all that out too. Do you find your
Definitely.
authors, are they thinking about that at all when they're starting their book, or are they like, I'll do that later?
I think it varies hugely. There's definitely some who get it up front. Like we've got a client, for example, who he runs an organic marketing agency, organic social
Yeah.
media agency. And so for him, like he's been building his book into his
Oh, yeah.
marketing from the second we started working with him on it, and asking for thoughts and ideas and testing out his ideas. And so it's been brilliant, because by the time he actually gets to his book coming out, he's going to have this really engaged audience. He's got quite a big
Yes.
following anyway. And so there's some people who think about that. I would say most people really don't consider it until they finish their manuscripts. And it's why we try
Yeah.
and build a little bit more of that into the process, as well as going, okay, so, we're say 6 months out from where we hope to be finishing. What are we
Yep.
doing to start to work towards it? What are you doing to build your audience? Do you know who you're going to be using for marketing? And starting to seed some of those things, because it's
Yes.
so important. Like when you leave it until your manuscript's finished, it's just so
Yeah.
much harder. It becomes this extra piece that you're just not prepared for. I've heard someone describe the book writing process as more like a triathlon than a marathon, because you hear book writing's a marathon, not a
Yes.
sprint, quite a lot.
Mhm.
But I think it was Robbie Samuels suggested it was a triathlon. And so writing, is your swim. I think swim goes first. You can tell
Yeah.
I'm
I
not a
don't know.
sports
Yeah,
person. And then, the publishing and the getting it all ready, and then marketing is the third piece. But actually, you've got to be training for all three along the way. You can't
yeah.
just finish that first piece and suddenly expect to be ready for the second piece. You've got to be ready for all three of them, I think is really
I'm
important.
so gonna steal that from you, because it's so true. There is those 3 pages, right? You've got the writing part, could be like the swimming, and then you've got the publishing part, which is the biking, and then you've got the marketing part, which is the running. And the running keeps going. It's like the marathon that doesn't stop, because you're always promoting and marketing the book.
Yeah.
What do you say to authors that come to you? We get business owners and high profile people, and you think they'd be so confident, but then they're like, I don't know. I don't know if my book's going to be good. I don't know if I have
Mhm.
something to say. Maybe they're going to write about leadership. There's so many leadership books out there. How do I know mine will be different? Maybe I'm just wasting my time. What do you say to those people that come to you?
Oh, that's it. That's, I think, the most common thing that we hear in terms of fears or frustrations or things. And funnily enough, my business partner, Christina, her whole book, so her book, Better, is a more authentic path for the reluctant thought leader. And it's exactly that. It's for people who
I love that.
feel like they want to have an impact, but are struggling to put themselves out there. They that anyone's going to want to read their book. And so she created that. So I think the first thing that we always talk about is get them really clear on why they want to write the book. What is it going to mean for them, for their business? What is it going to mean for the people that they want to help? I think for people who are quite purpose
Mm,
driven and
yeah.
who are looking to contribute to the world, getting them really clear on this is how it could actually help people. So valuable, because you need that pull towards that future
Mhm.
to be stronger than the fear that's inside them. And so that's a
Yeah.
really important piece of the process. And then obviously we want to get lots of clarity around who is the audience, what's the message, how is it to what else is out there. So that's part of that Better Book Blueprint process. But
Yeah.
I think to start with, you really have to get them wanting the future that a book could help them create, so
Mhm.
much so that it pulls them past that fear. And so that is a really important piece, because just telling someone, of course people will like it, is not going to assuage their fears. Like they've got to be able to
No.
move past the fears, as opposed to, you're not going to suddenly take them away.
And really giving them room to imagine, what would it be like to be a best-selling award-winning author? What would that
Mm.
feeling be like? What would it be like when you walked in a room and someone compliments you about your book, or says, "Oh my gosh, you changed my life by me reading your
Mhm.
book." What would that feel like? And then I think it creates that impact for them. Then they start to see that impact. Tell
Yes.
people where they can find you and connect with you.
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I would love anyone to connect with me there. So just Verity Craft with a C. And our website is intelligent.inc, so ink with a K, which you can check out all of what we've got going on and things. But LinkedIn is definitely the spot that I take use up most of my time on, let's say that way.
That's right. That's where you and I met. We met on LinkedIn as well.
Exactly.
There you go. If you're looking to write a book, reach out to Verity. And if you're looking to publish a book and market your book, reach out to Elite Online Publishing. And we're here to help you and see if we're a good fit. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. We hope this was helpful and inspired you to finally write your book. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.